Cultural Colonialism and New Languages of Power by Cristina Diaz. During the 19th century, Europeans traveled to Ecuador just after the Spanish colonial independence, by the year 1809. One of their main objectives was to increase the human knowledge referring to the physical world, and also to publicate interesting observations about exotic places or people, mainly for the middle class of Europeans. It is true that for Europeans this land was really attractive. Secondly, another purpose was to recognize the natural space according to the scientific criteria. At that time, the world was passing through a globalization in two main areas. That was first the industrial production and also the international trade. With this, is not difficult to understand that for Europeans was a really good business to come. European ideas and science introduced new languages also, as well as modern inventions. As we see in these pictures, some of these inventions were the new roads, railways, postal services, lining, scientific institutions, and sewage. Europeans directly participated in the construction of roads and railways. By the way, as a result of a president request, they came to set up a scientific institution, the Polytechnic College, that we still know. This one applied scientific methods that include different sciences like biology or meteorology. Now we continue with these European benefits, and another one was the legitimacy, a new conception of space. And here I can see that the territorial boundaries are included in this group. Definitely, starting from that time, we construct a national identity. I say this because when we are sure about our limits, then we can be conscious of what we are and what we have. So the national identity also start growing. Now I'm going to talk about one of the events that was really polemic at this time. And by the year 1877, the Cotopaxi volcano erupted. As we see in the first picture, there is this explosion, big explosion, and also there is some pictures about how is it today. Nowadays, the Cotopaxi is really a cultural attraction. So, well, going back with this event, since this, a big challenge started between the Catholic Church's power and the state representatives. This fight was to prove the theological or the scientific explanations. These explanations refer to the reason why this eruption was caused. So it's true that the church was the principal authority, but as we are human beings, we are based on arguments, and the society was the one who chose between both. Okay, so in these polemic reasons, we have two sides: the local history and the local control. The local history was in terms of symbolic power, visions of social world, but the local control was in terms of cultural, social, political, or economical relationships. So I can say that the cultural colonialism in Ecuador was difficult because it follows collectivities in which we pretend to negotiate knowledge and power, and also collectivities in, include what each one believes and what each one try to say to the world, try to prove. So, as Ecuadorians, we're a Catholic people. We always have been a Catholic in general. We needed to find another way to transmit knowledge. Um, and first of all, Europeans were the main ones that need a new way to start sharing their ideas and sharing their science. So after this, Europeans and a selected group of Ecuadorians start relating each other. So I'm going to talk about the European culture and the Ecuadorian elite. And this exchange of language started changing our perception of life. Even though during the 18th century Jesuit scholars introduced a disciplinary knowledge, a previous knowledge, particular members of an educated elite made important changes with Europeans. So this was really important because the progress was coming. With all this, we have exchange of ideas, university scientific implementation, that also had a good result because the education was also becoming better. Okay, so now I'm going to focus on one of the important members of this educated elite, that was Gabriel Garcia Moreno. He was one of our presidents in our history, and he was bilingual. This was a really advantage for him because he could relate with Europeans and start making a lot of projects. So he was completely interested in the scientific study of Ecuador's mountains, and for this he developed many expeditions that helped him with all his interests. On the other hand, he studied jurisprudence, chemistry, mineralogy, geology, and he had a really good education because he didn't study here in Ecuador. I want to mention also an important thought of this president, and he stated that teaching science was indispensable to the Republic's progress. And I totally agree with this because only the knowledge is what make us succeed. Also, he was against anarchical elements in Ecuador, and he fought for the moral orders. The moral order, it was really important for him, the moral order. And he established also the territorial boundaries That was something really interesting in his government. And well, as we said, Europeans were based on reason, and Latin Americans, we were based on superstitions. So between these, a new fight appeared to include Protestant beliefs. And this was really difficult for Garcia Moreno because he was a Catholic believer and also a conservative. He had a conservative mind, and all this was really the trouble for him. As a result of a new life in Ecuador that was starting, the University of Quito started with a modern medicine. Likewise, the Escuela Politécnica started with mathematics, physics, chemistry, and natural sciences. And some French specialists helped sharing their knowledge, and a complete progress came to Ecuador. It's important to consider also that Ventimiglia, the following president after Gabriel Garcia Moreno, he approved the liberalism, totally against with the conservative thought of Garcia Moreno. However, he affirmed that his liberalism was compatible with religious faith. So at this point, for me, it was really attractive that even though he believed in liberalism, the religion was an important factor in all his decisions and all his thoughts. So at this point, we also can see that everyone here had a huge relationship with the religion. Okay, in these pictures we can see that Quito was changing. The streets were better constructed, and also people started learning new ways of working, new ways of jobs, and this is really good for us, I think. Finally, I'm going to focus on my conclusion, and for this I want to say that cultural colonialism in Ecuador, it was really difficult. I think it was really difficult, and that the cultural colonialism in Ecuador had a huge influence from Europeans' knowledge, and certainly it brought us the progress. However, our religious beliefs still being alive, and this means that the Catholic Church will never stop having power. For us, it's important to raise development, but it's difficult to forgive our ancestral logic and also our ancestral beliefs. So the exchange of language and knowledge is what made us. And I think is a little bit not fair that not all of the people of Ecuadorians had the chance to study science and to exchange idea with Europeans, but what this elite group did was a benefit for all of us. Thank you.